Ohio Republican Congressman Mike Turner chairs the House Intelligence Committee and joins me now. Mr. Chairman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Well, how concerned are you about either online chatter or the frustrations that we've already seen, or outside interference potentially? We haven't any evidence of it yet, but there is a lot of concern about Russia and others getting involved here, boiling over into violence. We've seen protests from California to Florida.
Well, the risks, Andrew, are very real. As a result of Director Wray's testimony over the Senate last week, I received a briefing from him today with several members of the Intelligence Committee. And we concur from the intelligence that we have seen that this probably is the greatest threat that we have seen within the United States for over a decade. When you look at ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah, their efforts to call for attacks in the United States, when you look at also combining this with individuals who have affiliations with international terrorist organizations who are in the United States, in part as a result of the access that they've gained through our southern border and the fact that that border has been open. When you look also at the tensions that are occurring, and as you said, the world conflicts, I think the director is absolutely correct that this is a time period where we have great risk. And certainly his efforts to work to monitor those individuals who might have affiliations with with terrorist organizations, international terrorist organizations, and getting the intelligence on those to try to thwart those efforts is very, very important.
And there's certainly no sign that this is going to be a short-term conflict. Today, House lawmakers met with the families of the hostages held in Gaza. They've been there a month now. Let me play some of what we heard from one mother today.
I'm here because it's been 30 days. Every day is like eternity to me, and I can't wait any longer because I know that he was shot. I don't know anything. Maybe everything is we don't know. We don't have a list of the hostages. We don't know their condition. I don't have anything. So I need your help.
We should be clear, under international rules of law, the Red Cross is supposed to have access to hostages, communicate with their families. Hamas is not permitting that.
And remember, these are hostages that were taken from Israel into Gaza, right. Not hostages even that were taken in Gaza. So it's even that much more troubling and that much more worrying for the families. Certainly the intelligence community is working, as is the Department of Defense, diligently try to locate these hostages. The State Department has ongoing negotiations to try to obtain their release. And certainly we're working with Israel on trying to identify where they might be located so that they can be safe and located and hopefully freed.
Now, arguably, we put up Reaper drones, unarmed drones, but that can help above ground. I don't know that can really help in tunnels or other hiding places. And, how helpful can we be? At this point, also, there's a lot of concern in the White House and the administration about the kind of targeting, the bunker buster bombs, hoping that Israel will use smaller munitions and try to preserve lives as much as they can and not further inflame the situation because of civilian casualties. Where do you come down on the possibility of humanitarian pauses? I'm not talking about a ceasefire.
Right, sure. Well, humanitarian aid is incredibly important, and we just received a briefing yesterday on the status of what the U.S. is seeing with respect to Gaza, and certainly the importance of making certain that civilians, those who are not engaged with Hamas, are kept as safe as possible. But as you just indicated, the big concern also is that as this becomes a war zone, the ability to get humanitarian aid into individuals, so water, food, just the basic needs, is very heightened. And I know that that's something that's certainly on the top of the priority of the administration.
We've got a situation now also where the Palestinians are being told that by Netanyahu last night that they will, for some period of time, reoccupy Gaza. They left voluntarily, of course, back in 2005, 2006. But do you see that as being sustainable, given the conflict, given Iran's involvement, of course, with Hezbollah to the north, what's happening in the West Bank with settlers clashing with Palestinians there? This is so volatile.
Well, I think you're right. It is a very volatile situation. It's also a very fluid situation. I wouldn't react to various comments that Netanyahu might make about what are the prospects really in the future for Gaza. I think right now, the United States is working diligently to help identify Hamas, those who are real threats, identify the places in which hostages may be held so that we can free them. And then also working to ensure that there's humanitarian aid and assistance to the Palestinians in Gaza, who themselves are prisoners of Hamas also.
Did we let down our guard also by considering that Hamas was contained? It was Israel's problem, and not paying attention to them when we were focused on, understandably, on al-Qaeda and ISIS?
I think it is obvious from the reaction. No one expected that Hamas would undertake such a gruesome and horrible, really heartless attack on innocent civilians in Israel. And because of that, I mean, it certainly has changed the whole dynamic. Israel had put in place a significant missile defense system, understanding that Hamas was going to continue to barrage Israel with missiles, the very deadly missiles, but putting in place a system that could give them space, the ability to de-escalate as Hamas was attacking with missiles, where there clearly was no, interest on the part of Hamas to de-escalate that or to negotiate. But that step of what occurred, the horrific attack, I think really did set the stage for what we're seeing now in a way that people did not anticipate.